13. Constance. I had to hurry home to get ready for my date. It was a strange thing for me to think, and I didn't entirely hate it. I flew upstairs past my sisters helping mother peel apples for the pie and into my room. I coolly took off my clothes and stood there with a slip, suddenly completely still, staring at half-dozen dresses I owned. How I wish I had a proper job as a scientist, or something so that I could afford to buy things. That was not necessities, like pretty dresses from lovely shops. I sat on the bed staring at my open closet, and I turned to look at the little chemistry set. I barely used it, and only done the usual experiments. The easy ones they teach children, like making crystals with granulated soda and mixing copper with nitric acid, that my parents had insisted at 16 when I had to leave school and start earning an income. There were so many more things left to learn, but my parents had both it out when they'd been teenagers to help support their families, and they didn't see why we shouldn't. We needed the money more than high-class education, as they called it. And it wasn't as if my parents hadn't stopped learning. They loved reading and their Shakespeare history, so why not leave school to make money and study on your own? But there was only so much you could learn without a good teacher, I found, and I enjoyed school a lot. I started to resist this day now. I hardly have any free time. It didn't feel fair somehow. Yesterday, I have already full doing things for other people now. Today, Bill, the rich kid, needed my time this morning, and the date coming up with Andrew so soon. All these boys seemed to need my time. Yesterday, it was Mr. Chambers himself, though it was hardly a boy. But that was a whole other sort of thing. That wasn't a favor as much, and it wasn't an order in a rescue mission, and Molly's reputation certainly would have been subverted if I hadn't filled in, no matter how terrified I was at the prospect. It was nice doing things for others. I just wish I had some time myself once in a while. Oh, that feels selfish to think. Wasn't it? Was it? Felt almost angry. But no, that was silly. I coolly buried the feeling. That was all silly. The screaming had been interesting, and days are delightful. It wasn't as I had been one before. They were just warm Franklin as my sisters. But yes, as I recalled it, they were quite lovely. Fun conversation, such lovely food, butterflies in my stomach. Then why did my butterflies feel more like dreaded? I stood in a rush, feeling a little flushed and upset, though I couldn't understand why. I grabbed my rose dress and hastily put it on. It will do. I have a nice lipstick to match. Once made it, I fixed my hair, and I was feeling better till Nolly knocked on my door. "Andrew is waiting for you," she said with a giggle. I double-checked my appearance in the mirror and then grabbed my gray wool jacket and hat. "You look cute," said Molly as I passed her in the kitchen. "Don't be late for the show," ordered Lily, not looking up. I rolled my eyes at Molly, and Mother smacked at her with a dish towel. "Have fun, dear." I wanted to, I really did. I wasn't so sure I knew how. I ran up downstairs, gave Mrs. Wilson a little wave, and smiled as she peeked at me from behind her chain on her door, and she always seemed to know everything. I stepped outside, and there was Andrew waiting for me on the sidewalk with a lovely bouquet of pink roses. "They're beautiful," I said, stunned. "So are you," he said. I didn't look at him. Instead, purposely examined the flowers. The compliment was silly, and it sounded like something he said before. Not in the bad way. It just didn't feel like a compliment aimed specifically at me, but that was my ego, I supposed. "Shall we go?" I asked it. He nodded and offered his arm. He reminded me of Bill's earlier. These boys. I took it. We went for a nice stroll and ended up at Reggiano's Italian restaurant. I'd never been as quite excited about it as I took off my coat and he pulled out the chair for me. I sat down and took my gloves as he sat opposite me. We were right by the window, and the glass gave off a little bit of cold. But it was nice to be able to watch people go by. We were otherwise alone. The restaurant had only just opened it. "It was really nice of you to accommodate my schedule," I said. "Of course, with classes at university, schedules are all over the place. Why, I had dinner with a chump the other day at midnight. It was the only time he and I could see each other." He said with a laugh. I laughed it too. Generally, midnight was not a big deal in Atlantic City. I decided not to tell her I'd been staying out and having meals late when I was 15. "Where do you go to school?" I asked it. I intensely envious. "I attended Rutgers. I'm planning on going to law someday." He said, "Oh, how interesting. If I went to university, I would study science." I said. I knew I shouldn't have just said that, but I've been thinking about such things and slipped out. I wondered what he'd care about, what I've done, if I hadn't chanced. Such a silly, goal. There I went again, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. Focus, Constance, focus. Science, neat, said Andrew, taking a sip of water. I always liked science. I found law very interesting. I liked the compromises and questions of morality. I nodded. I was fairly great. He sidestepped my braceless and continued on track as I should have done with the conversation. I could do this. I could be normal. Lawyers do seem to have interesting lives, I said, never having met a lawyer before. Oh, they really do. One of my professors invited me for dinner the other day, and he said the funniest thing. Andrew paused, remembering it. I smiled as he thought. The waiter arrived over nearby. We all waited in hesitation. I can't quite remember, he said finally. I laughed honestly to set him at ease. I was getting better at this. Maybe it's because this was the of the morning. Our second encounter. Maybe it was on. May I take your orders? Asked the waiter. I opened the menu. I hadn't even. We'll each have a plate of lasagna. I will have the milk one, and the lady will have a sparkling water, said Andrew with a smile. Very good, sir, replied the waiter. Thank you, I said, handing him my menu for a smile. I wasn't against the lasagna's idea, but I had been rather excited to go through the menu to imagine what everything might look and taste like. I hadn't even had a chance to open it. Oh well, that was dating. I'm sorry about the water, said Andrew. Oh, I like sparkling water, I lied. You must be getting used to being able to drink wherever and whenever. Everything in Atlantic City is so scented. You seemed excited by the thought. As a future lawyer, I'm sure you don't that I didn't mention that I really never have any interest in drinking. And I was pretty sure even when I was on age, I wouldn't be too keen. Oh, maybe I had been sipping beer or their champagne. I like having a clear head. I've seen too many drunken tumbles and drowns on the boardwalk to convince me it wasn't exactly my thing. My statement flustered it for a moment, and he carefully straightened out his fork. Oh no, I think there's a difference between the spirit and the letter of the law, he said. Oh really? Can you explain it to me? Thank you, Lily, for a little lessons you taught me along the way. I thought asking a date to explain something definitely raised their spirits and lived the time. Andrew was no exception. The rest of the dinner continued without incident. I enjoyed my lasagna, even if it wouldn't have been my first choice, and I was able to eat peacefully up most of the conversation. He was interesting at the moment. I find the question of right and wrong and the law had been appealing. I wish I could tell him a bit of my chemistry set, but I didn't want to interrupt him. He was having a grand time talking to me. We finished and he paid for us. He held me with my coat. We walked over to Ocean View, parted ways in front of the hotel. As we stood there looking at each other, I felt those butterflies from last night. But also, I wasn't sure I wanted to kiss him. I could tell he wasn't sure if he should kiss me. Do you know I do horse diving on occasion? Asked him. He stared and blinked once and then said, What? Thank you for the dinner. It was wonderful. I extended my hand and took it, still confused but warmly. But I smiled. It was more to myself than anything. If I had only asked it a single question about me. As I headed the stairs, he called out after me, May I see you again? A couple of chorus girls near me giggled. Yes, I replied. Why not the other chance? He was decent enough. And I stepped inside the hotel.